It's time for another Indie Dev Showcase video here on the channel. Every Wednesday night we have our Indie Showcase streams, and these videos are the recaps of it. Unless otherwise noted, all the games shown here were played with press keys submitted by developers. And if you'd like me to play your game for a future stream, please get in touch. But we are beginning with Towaga Among Shadows. This is a kind of minimalistic, almost like tower defense-ish kind of game. I believe this was made either for mobile or designed for a mobile audience, just due to how the mechanics of this game works. You basically click and drag your kind of giant Kamehameha laser here to stop the enemies from reaching your character in the middle. And if they get to you, they'll cost you some health points indicated by the upper left, and your mission is to just survive all the waves in order to clear things. As you play through the game, you unlock new abilities and powers that you can activate, such as being able to slow down the enemies, do a stronger attack, etc., etc. And you get these shards, which are kind of like your premium currency used for these upgrades. Now, the game does mix things up at the end of each chapter with kind of a flying, very passive, almost shmup or shoom-up experience. And ultimately, this is one of those games that I don't feel there's enough here to make it stand out from other games on the market. If you're looking for a casual kind of game with this kind of gameplay loop, Towaga will certainly work for you, but it definitely falls along those kinds of just grinding out levels, getting shards, and just repeating the same things with maybe stronger enemies each time you fight. And ultimately, I kind of walked away from this being a little bit bored. But what's here I think certainly works. I just wish there was more of an evolution in terms of the game mechanics, rather than just scaling things up and up. Now with that said, our next game is Ampersat, and this was submitted by the developer in an early build of it. And right now I know the game has a demo and is planned for a release, and what you see may not represent the current version of it. But this is a top-down RPG where all the characters are, well, characters. You play as the Ampersat there, who is on a mission to save the kingdom from evil. And to do so, they're going to have to explore these dungeons. Now, the thing about Ampersat is that the dungeons themselves, or each level, are handmade. So, you're going to be going through them if you die the same way each time, but there are hints, and the game does talk about having a procedurally generated mode as well. Now, as you can probably tell from the gameplay, this is going to be your hack and slash, or I guess a move and shoot kind of design. Enemies will spawn from monster generators, and you'll have to destroy them using your little shot. You have a dash that I believe grants you a moment of iframes. And your mission is to explore each level, rescue the various characters, and then these characters will be brought back to the village and kind of act as part of the persistent elements of the game, as you can spend gold to unlock new perks, as well as buy and craft new gear that you can equip to your character. Now, what kind of hurt this game when we played it is that they're going for a very slow burn in terms of progress. I think it's trying to emulate kind of the roguelite kind of aspect of persistent elements. And it means that when you start playing this game, your character is just very hard to control or really do anything with. As you saw in like the last footage when we were fighting, it takes a lot of shots of your basic attack to even stand a chance at killing these enemies. And of course the idea is that you're going to grow into your power, get better weapons, upgrade your perks, and soon you'll be able to dominate those fights. But it's a lot of time spent kind of in the weaker state before the game opens up. And there are definitely hints at more aspects with unlockable features, multiple dungeons to explore, and the idea of, again, crafting and building more gear to help you out. And I like the concept of this game, but it definitely needs some work in terms of its onboarding and just kind of the moment-to-moment gameplay aspect of it. But I'm hoping that when the game is released, or with the updated demo, that some of these complaints that we have been fixed, or at least downplayed to some extent. Our next game is Long Gone Days. This is an RPG that has a very unique story, focusing on our protagonist here, who was raised as a child soldier, and soon discovers that the group that he's fighting for may not have the best interests of the world at heart. And what follows is his journey trying to figure out what to do with himself, and kind of make amends for his past actions. Now, the game I really like the style. It has almost like that anime or kind of like hand-drawn look to the various character models. And you'll be going through kind of talking with various characters, finding more items and so on, and then getting into turn-based combat that kind of follows the first-person viewpoint of something like Dragon Quest, or like the older Dragon Quest and Earthbound and games like that. During combat, you are free to target any part of the character's body, with certain locations have either a greater chance of hitting, or can mess up the enemy, such as stopping them attacking, maybe disorienting them, etc., etc. And the game certainly has style to spare, especially with, again, its great aesthetics. The only thing that we kind of ran into during the stream was that this is very much a long-form RPG, so it's going to be on the slower side, and we really didn't have the time to spend going too far into the game. But I would say definitely give this one a check. I think we actually played this from the itch bundle that came out earlier in 2020, and if you are fans of very serious RPGs, while still having the combat systems to back that up, Long Gone Days is definitely a great game to check out. But with that, we're going to take a quick break and we'll take a look at 3 more games for this Indie Spotlight video. And now for a quick shout out to our current Game Wisdom supporters and sponsors. Going forward, all Patreon supporters will get early access to our videos. And if you'd like to continue this discussion on game design, be sure to check out our Discord channel, linked down below. If you're looking for more wisdom about game design, be sure to check out my latest offering of books, 20 Essential Games to Study, aimed for first-time developers and students looking for some inspiration for their upcoming games, and Game Design Deep Dive Platformers if you're interested in anything regarding 2D and 3D platforming design. They're both available in print, digital, and wherever books are being sold. We go from something very serious to whatever we would like to call this one. Our next game is Pikuniku, and I guess the simplest way to describe this would be take the darker themes and hidden tones of a game like Undertale and match it with the very cute and childlike wonder of Katamari Damacy. Our story involves this lovely little red tomato guy here, who after being freed from a cave explores a wonderful and magical world that is also brimming with a lot of possibly dark undertones, including rampant capitalism, dystopian futures, and more. And our mission is to explore, kick things, and of course find and wear as many hats as we can. Now, throughout the game, you're going to do all manner of weird things, and the game is simply designed around a short experience as you're going around and trying to solve this story. In terms of the controls, moving our character here felt right, but there's a lot of kind of physics-driven or kind of almost like realistic physics involving moving of objects around that proved to be a little bit annoying as we got further in. But this is very much one of those games that tries to hit a lot of different marks with its gameplay loops, and if something is annoying, most likely it will be going away in a few minutes. And yet, the game is just oozing charm, as you can see with these cutscenes and my pencil hat that I'm wearing right now. And if you're looking for a very delightful and possibly dark game to enjoy, then this is definitely one to look at and just wonder what the heck is going on with these scenes. For our next game, we turn to another itch.io bundle game, and this is Vilmonic. And what we have here is kind of a simulation style game done in a 2D look. Our concept is that we are trying to raise life on this island, and to do so we need to set up various spots, gather the nutrients we need, and then the creatures will kind of live, grow, and mate accordingly. So it's kind of like maybe like a smaller Minecraft meets like one of those creatures games from back in the 90s. So all the creatures that you raise have emergent behavior, and they're going to go out and do their own thing. And how they grow is dependent upon what nutrients you give them or what they absorb at their time. All the while, you are building and crafting various things to help you, such as paths, structures, and so on. It's a very ingenious idea and concept for a game. My main issue that I had with this is that the onboarding is kind of rough. And similar to something like with Minecraft, you need to craft things based on collecting various tools, put them in the UI, and then we'll build it for you. And it was just kind of a little frustrating shuffling items and such around. And probably the UI UX is the major issue with this game. And I'm kind of curious, for those of you watching this, if anyone else checked this one out, because I kind of want to know where it goes with this concept. Because I've always been a fan of the kind of life sim style design, but it's always been very tricky to handle, the complexities of creating life with making things easy to follow and read. Now, please keep in mind that the footage you're seeing, we played this several months ago on stream, and I do not know if the game has been updated since. So, things may have been improved since we played this game, and it may not represent this version of it. But I would say if the name Creatures, rings any bells for you, and you're looking for a game kind of like that, or maybe a more involved take, definitely check out Vilmonic and see if it scratches that itch for you. For our final game of this video, we turn to Ooblets. This game is currently on early access on Epic, and we got a press key to check this out very early, no pun intended, in its early access. So what you see may not represent the current version of it. But what we have here is an interesting mix between Stardew Valley and Pokemon. You are a new citizen to this island that is full of creatures called Ooblets. And it's up to you to try to make a living here by farming, raising your own Ooblets, and completing various tasks and jobs for the various citizens of our town here. Now, the graphics have kind of like that very unique aesthetic, almost like every character has like a jelly kind of model to it. And it does look nice, with a lot of style along those lines. Now, in terms of the gameplay, the core gameplay loop is kind of split between managing your various farm and completing tasks for the citizens, and having these kinds of, and I'm not kidding with this, dance battles with the Ooblets. The idea is that each Ooblet has different cards or dance moves that they can use. And you can use cards to earn beats or points, as well as steal them from your opponent. And the objective is to have more points at the end of the dance than the opposing character. If you win, sometimes you'll get an egg that you can use to create that Ooblet. And it's a very cute system to the game. Now, when you move from dance battles back to the farm management is very much Stardew Valley light, as you're trying to set up plots to raise crops to get money, as well as setting up places to raise your various Ooblets. And of course, you have to manage your stamina and resources each day. The game features progression in terms of unlocking new features as you level up your character by completing various tasks, And again, as you solve the various citizens' problems, they'll unlock new features and things to help you as well. But this is very much a sandbox or kind of open-ended experience. There didn't seem to be a grand story or, there's not going to be an end-of-the-world plot in this game. And there's definitely charm to it. My main problem is that I feel like I'm playing two different games instead of one complete package. That the farming here doesn't really do anything in terms of how your Ooblets behave, and you can't really have your Ooblets help you with this aspect as well. It kind of feels like I'm just performing tasks in order to satisfy the padding or just the grind of playing. And I would have loved to have been able to, do some with the farming that could influence my Ooblets, or through the dance battles get new features for the farming or general town management. This is not, I think, as complete as something like Stardew Valley, where every task can kind of lead or work into the other ones. By doing well in combat, it earns you resources you can use for mining, which those mining resources can be, smith into various bars that can be sold, or you can craft new stuff. And again, it's just how all the various systems interconnect to each other. And I didn't really get that same feeling with Ooblets. Again, with the caveat that this was during kind of like week 1 or week 2 of its early access, so I don't know how much things have improved since then. But like I said, the game has charm to spare, and if you are looking for kind of another take on the whole Stardew Valley Pokemon-esque kind of craze, then definitely check this one out. And like I said, it may improve in terms of its gameplay, but it's still a very light-hearted design. Probably the closest similarity would be something like Bug Snacks that we looked at on the channel as very cute concept that I was kind of hoping there was more to satisfy this gameplay loop. With that said, we're going to wrap up this spotlight here. As always, I would like to thank the developers who submitted games or had demos for us to check out. Again, if you are working on an upcoming title that you are looking for somebody to cover it or raise awareness for, please get in touch as we are always looking for titles. Check out our Patreon and Discord link down below and come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where some of the art and science of games. Until next time, have a great night. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed things, be sure to do all the liking and subscribing that the kids are doing these days. Check out our Discord channel link down below where we hang out and chat game design, and come back later tonight for our regular streamings. But that's it, and tune in for more great content here and on Game Wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games.